Hey guys, it's iMaster, and today we're going to be talking about web design in general, through iWeb specifically. iWeb makes it really easy to design great websites, also makes it easy, unfortunately, to design ugly websites. I'm going to show you some tips to make a better website that just looks overall more professional and just looks better. Let's get started. So to show you that real people actually use these tips, I'm going to go to Apple's website. Apple is highly respected for their website because it is great. It is design genius. I mean, genius may be a little strong, but it's really well designed. So let's go over the basics. I'm using the navigation bar because it is a great example. As you can see, I've zoomed in just about, all the way Safari will let me. So let's look at some of the things that are going on here. So what we see, what I see first, is letterpress effect on the text. Now what letterpress is you see how the text looks like it's embossed, you could also say, into the navigation bar. That's called letterpress. You can also see it a different way when you hover over. Now it looks like the shadow's at the top, and it doesn't look like as smooth of an indentation, but it still achieves the effect. Also, at the bottom, if you can see, there's a little shadow. I know it's hard for you guys to see because you're not on the screen as big as mine, but if you go full screen, then you might be able to see it better. But there's a little shadow under there. There are also pixel-wide lines in between each of the buttons. I'm trying not to roll over them, guys, sorry. That divide the lines. And basically what's going on here is a light line, then a dark line, then a light line. This is a good way to approach it, but I'm going to choose to show you how to approach it a different way, just slightly different. But let's get started. So if we open iWeb, I'm on a blank page. I've changed the background color to suit this tutorial a little bit better. Obviously, these colors won't be perfect for your site, so adjust the colors necessarily. Okay, so I'm gonna make just this 100 pixels. Because I spent too much time adjusting it last time. That's our navigation bar. First thing that I would suggest doing is taking off the stroke and adding a gradient. Just going to do a normal gradient fill for now. Be sure not to do too drastic of a gradient. What I mean by that is don't go from white to black like iWeb gives you standard, because that looks hideous. Don't go from two completely different colors, such as from green to red. That, again, looks completely hideous. Let's try going from a dark gray to a darker gray. Okay, now I know it blends in, but we're going to fix that in just a second. So, let me make my page background lighter. One sec while I do this. Okay, now we're going to add the highlights and shadows to the navigation bar. Now on iWeb, on Apple's site, they didn't use highlights at the top. I'm going to choose to use highlights because I think that it makes it look a little bit better. But it really depends on the effect you're trying to achieve. So I'm going to make this a little bit lighter than the top color. So I'm going to choose 666666, that color. And then I'm going to duplicate that line. And on the bottom, I'm going to make it black. Now, it blends in because these colors, they're similar. They might even be the same, but they shouldn't be. Let me bring up that color a bit, and maybe it'll stand out more. You can see it's there, though. It's there. Alright, let me make this there. Now you can see it. I still have a gradient. Again, lighter gradients can still have a strong effect, as you can see. So let me go on to a darker color to show you what that would look like. I'm talking about a darker color background. See it there? No. That's probably our best bet right there. You can see clear outlines, and it really defines it well. You can also use these highlight shadow technique for other elements of the page. For example, if you wanted to create an engraved effect on the page, do something like this, then you can get creative with it. But just keep that technique in mind because it can add a lot to your site. Now, the next thing that I want to go over with you guys is light sources. Whenever you're trying to design something realistically, you should always know where the light's coming from so that you can appropriately add light and shadows. So, generally, when we look at something in web design, we see the light as coming from the top. This is safe to always assume that the light source is coming from the top. So just keep that in mind. So now to make the buttons, like I said, Apple does theirs light, dark, light. But I think it looks more realistic to do dark light. I'll show you what I mean. The way I'm making straight lines, for anyone curious, is holding shift while I drag. The color of our highlight lines should be the same. You can change them based on your needs. Generally, what I find is the brighter the color closest to the background color, I think, the further away from that it is, the it gives it more depth, and the less contrast, the less depth. So as you can see, we've created our little separation between these two sections. Let me drag this up one. You don't want the dark to merge with the top of the light, and you don't want the highlight on the side to merge with the shadow on the bottom, if that makes any sense at all. Now we're just going to deal with the text. I'm going to write some text here, make it nice and big so you can see. Let's write home, because that's probably the most common page title used in web design. Now, when you're on a dark background, you generally want to use something lighter, such as this color. Now, to make an engraved or embossed effect, I'm going to add shadow, 125. You want to make it a dark color, black works, 0 blur, 2-point offset, 100% opacity. And there you go. You can see it looks like it's engraved into the button. That's what I'm trying to say. Obviously, it's not as great as it could be, but that is pretty darn good, as opposed to take off the shadow. It just looks more realistic. This can also be achieved in CSS by using the text shadow property. Now I'm going to show you how to do the embossed effect. This generally, I believe, works better on lighter navigation bars such as iWebs, but I'm going to try it. So I'm going to make our text black for this because it works better with darker colors. I'm going to reverse our angle of our gradient, shadow, sorry. Make it 325. The highlight I'm going to make 6.6. That looks ugly. Alright, I think I messed up. Take off the shadow completely. I think it put duplicated shadows on it. Ah, that's what I did. I put a shadow on the text box as well as the text. Take the one off the... You know what? Never mind. Yeah. That's the basic effect, guys. So it just looks like a different kind of engraved. So that's just about all I have to show you guys. I really appreciate you watching my videos, even though I obviously haven't been making as many. School, it sucks, and it's been keeping me busy. But thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.